right. Well, that is the job of the high-profile super committee, 6 Republicans and 6 Democrats. They have just 23 days to come up with a way to reduce the deficit by about $1.5 trillion. Yes, that's a big task. And this morning, the committee is being urged to go big by a group of bipartisan House members. Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Jim Cooper of Tennessee and Republican Congressman Reid Ribble of Wisconsin. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. And it's nice to see a Republican and a Democrat together and talking. So you have you've written a letter. You've got what, about 100 members signed up in support of this letter. So tell us what the 100 lawmakers have agreed to, and give us an idea of how many Democrats and how many Republicans you've signed up. Representative Cooper.
Well, we're asking the super committee to be brave, to do the right thing for America. And if they do that, we've got their backs. So basically, we want everything on the table.
Okay, you say be brave. So, Representative Ribble, what does that mean, be brave, have courage?
Well, I think for us, we want the super committee to feel empowered to go much larger than $1.5 trillion. If we look at $1.5 trillion over the course of a decade, that's only reducing spending about 2.7%. If they could go to $4 trillion, now we're getting around 9.5%. That's going to take some courage, and we're encouraging them to do so and to lead with courage.
Congressman Reid, the biggest hurdles have been entitlement reform in taxes. Is everyone who signed up ready to compromise on these issues? I mean, are Republicans in favor of some tax increases? Are Democrats in favor of reforms to entitlements?
Well, I'll take it on the Republican side, Carol. I think that what we're looking for is to encourage the committee to look at 3 things. We want whatever they come out with to be fair, to have sound policy, and to recognize the economic realities of what we're facing today. Tax rates really don't correlate much to what actual revenue is, but if we would remove some of the subsidies and tax giveaways, we would actually have the money to reduce rates and spur economic growth, which would increase revenue.
Would that satisfy things on this super committee, do you think? I mean, the Republicans especially.
I think that that's a place to start, and that's the whole purpose of the letter, is to show them that there is some bipartisan support for them to look at this in a much bigger, long-term approach.
So you know, you're sending this letter, and there are 100 lawmakers that have signed on, but they don't really have, you know, the super committee is acting on its own. You guys are sort of outside the mix. So how much clout will this letter really have?
I think you'll see it has a great influence, because the super committee wants to know that whatever they recommend, and it's coming out on November 23rd, that it'll be able to pass Congress, and we have to vote on it by December 23rd, by Christmas. And 100 signatories on the letter means that it has a lot of momentum, and I think that will encourage the super committee to do the right thing.
Congressman Ribble, I want to ask you about the approval rating of Congress, because there was a new New York Times poll. It's down to 9%. That means like only your relatives and friends pretty much support you guys. I mean, what does that feel like?
Well, I mean, as a new freshman member, I expected some of this to happen. But I'll tell you, the American people have a right to be a little cynical. I came into this job cynical back in January, and there hasn't been a lot that I've seen today to make me less cynical. However, here's a case where Congressman Cooper and I have become friends. We're a little bit more pragmatic. We want to see the future better for our children and grandchildren. And, you know, we all have to lay down our swords, stop poking each other in the eye, and try to get something done here. It's time that we start to walk the walk and talk the talk. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
Well, that sounds like such a simple thing to do. It's like sit down, talk it out, and compromise. So, Congressman Cooper, why can't Congress do that?
Well, you're right, Carol. We should be able to do it. It's for the good of the country. We should be able to come together and compromise. Democrats oftentimes want to completely protect all entitlement programs forever. Republicans don't want to even hear the T word about taxes. But there's got to be a solution somewhere there in the middle to reduce deficits and debt so that we have a stronger financial future for our country. We can do this.
Congressman Ribble, we hear that all the time. I mean, we hear it from lawmakers like you that, yes, compromise is possible, and yes, we should be doing these things, but we don't see it in action.
Well, we see it sometimes in action, and we see it with this letter that's being written. I think one of the mysteries and maybe the wisdom of the super committee is that you're doing something in a bicameral way with both House and Senate, and you're doing something bipartisan. if you're going to address the big drivers of our debt, which are defense spending, Medicare, Social Security, the best way to do that is if we together step into that pond and say we're going to do it together. And what that will do is it'll force the political parties and their committees to not be able to use it as a weapon against each other. We have to take those weapons away, and we have to be able to talk like grown-ups. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a classroom of 6-year-olds, I got to tell you.
I think many Americans would probably agree with you.
I think they would.
I hope your letter makes a difference. I'm sure many Americans are, because that super committee doesn't have much time to come up with whatever plan they're going to come up with. Representative Cooper and Ribble, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Carol.
And the fact is,